Hey, 7th graders, happy Wednesday. Welcome back to another day of e-learning. We are almost done with this unit, which is kind of crazy. Today we're going to be talking about reading differently because you have knowledge of the era. So how the research we've been doing in the background, just knowing about the setting, the people, what's happening in our story, and anything else going on in that time period changes the way we read our historical fiction books. Planner reminders, you should continue reading. Remember, your audiobooks have to be done by April 30th, so you have 2 weeks from tomorrow until they need to be done. You have a journal prompt as always, and then if you're on the schedule to Flipgrid conference with me, make sure you do that. Random tidbit, in South Carolina, it is technically illegal for people under the age of 18 to play pinball, which is really weird and random. Fun fact, if you go to Las Vegas ever, there is a Pinball Hall of Fame. It's super fun. They have like 1,000 pinball machines, and you can play on them for hours. It's a blast. Anyways, today we're talking about reading differently because you have knowledge of an era. Your learning target is that readers access background knowledge to get a more complete picture of the historical era of their text. Your success criteria is that you can find images from your time period and you can explain how the visuals help affect your response to what you've read. So I want you to just take a second to look at this picture and picture the scene. You can see that there's soldiers. These are all soldiers in the Vietnam War, and they're kind of carrying each other. There's palm leaves all over the ground. This looks different than anything we've probably ever seen or felt. I know that I personally have never experienced something that looks like this. And when we're reading our stories, it's really important that we're taking time to picture the scene and what's going on in the story to help us better understand not only what's happening, but our characters and how they feel as well. What I want to point out to you is this. Readers of historical fiction use background knowledge to fill in missing parts of a story and to visualize more vividly. So by engaging in these quick bits of research like looking at pictures or maps or timelines, readers develop the wells of knowledge that they draw upon. Take a second to look at these pictures. These are pictures of Vietnam. So we've been kind of studying some stuff from the Vietnam War together. These are 4 pictures of Vietnam, and I want you just to take a few seconds to just look at them. So knowing that these are pictures from Vietnam, and that there was a war in Vietnam, and we've been studying that war, I want you to just think of these pictures and what new insight this gives you about Vietnam as we read back over a couple passages from Patrol and Ambush. Okay, so we're going to reread. I want you to try to picture the scene and walk in the character's shoes now that you've seen some photographs of what that might look like. So this is from Patrol. The land of my enemy has wide valleys, mountains that stretch along the horizon, rushing brown rivers, and thick green forests. My squad of 9 men are in the forest. Okay, now we're going to read the scene from Ambush. Very gradually, in tiny slivers, dawn began to break through the fog, and from my position in the brush I could see 10 or 15 meters up the trail. The mosquitoes were fierce. I remember slapping them, wondering if I should wake up Kiawa and ask for some repellent, then thinking it was a bad idea, then looking up and seeing the young man come out of the fog. He wore black clothing and rubber sandals and a gray ammunition belt. His shoulders were slightly stooped, his head cocked to the side as if listening for something. He seemed at ease. He carried his weapon in one hand, muzzle down, moving without any hurry up the center of the trail. There was no sound at all, none that I could remember. So you have these images in your head now. You've seen what this might look like. And then we read those 2 passages. So in Patrol, it was talking about the thick green forests, and you can kind of see that in these photographs, that they really were thick green forests. How it talks about the wide valleys and the flowing water, you can see that as well. In Ambush, you can kind of see the dense fog in that bottom right picture with the trees. You can see the fog rolling in where it would be a little difficult to see far away. So it's really important that when we're reading, especially when we're reading historical fiction, we're paying attention to the scene and what's going on and paying attention to these new understandings we have, trying to gain new understanding, and applying that to our reading. So this is your journal prompt for today. I want you to find an image, a map, or a timeline to deepen your understanding of the era you're reading about. Just copy and paste it into your journal and write a sentence or two about how it helps deepen your understanding. So for example, we just looked at those 4 pictures of the Vietnam War. In my journal, I pasted those pictures, and then I wrote a few sentences about how that helps me better understand what the soldiers were going through when they were fighting in the Vietnam War. That's all I have for you today. Have a fabulous day. If you have questions, make sure you reach out to me, send me an email, or pop on to office hours. But of course, I'm here to support you. So if there's anything you need, just let me know. You got this, 7th graders. I believe in you. You're rocking distance learning, and I will see you tomorrow.